When you're retired, you're always concerned to make sure that your savings are going to last you. And you always are thinking about, how are my finances? Well, today I want to dive in a little bit deeper and talk to you about, if presidential elections, kind of the political situation, how is that going to affect your retirement? Let's look at the numbers and see if any of those figures are going to impact you and your financial health in your retirement. I hear it and see it all the time when I'm working with my clients. Olga, we're not going to make a move right now because we just don't know what's going to happen with the upcoming election. Olga, we can't sell our house right now because we don't know what's going to happen when. And it's so easy to get caught up in that political noise. And today, you know what? I said to myself, let's look and see if there's actual proof in numbers, in research, to see if elections affect a lot of the financial decisions that we make. And I think it's very hard when you're trying so hard to plan for your future, to make sure that the money you saved so hard is going to last you. And there's always going to be a lot of uncertainties. And I think when there's change in the political structure, it's even more scarier for a lot of us. And what happens to a lot of people, and this is what I want to discuss today, is that you try to make decisions based on the emotions of how you're feeling right now. And you say, you know what? I need my money. I want to make sure that it lasts, so I'm going to pull it out and hold it close. But is it really the right decision for you? And the goal here is to make sure that you are approaching your finances and those decisions very much rationally, based on the facts and figures, and not thinking about what ifs, because what ifs hasn't happened. What you have is the foundation and the history of what you have going on now, kind of like the history of where your investments have been. And also, let's focus on the things that we can control. And let's talk about that. As we get closer to the elections, the anxiety and the fear is going to get heightened. And then you'll hear that on the social media and you'll hear it on the news. And that happens every time we have an election campaign that is going on. The historical data has shown, however, that overly fixating on the market reactions to an election can be a huge mistake and may cause you to make irrational investment decisions. I read a really interesting Forbes article, which I'm going to link to you, that actually has done some research and decided to see, is it actually makes sense? And what it effectively shows, that election years have had little correlation with the market performance. And we're talking about the stock market. Consider this market return data over the past 60 years. So what we're talking about is actual 15 presidential elections. Average performance data over 12 months before election date is roughly 8.5%. Average performance over 12 months following the election date is 9.3%. Average calendar year annual return for S&P 500, which is the biggest 5 companies on the US stock market, is about 8%. So as you can see, what the data shows is that the performance of the market actually goes up after the election. And that really is, when you think about it, the data shows that elections and their outcomes have little impact on the stock market performance. Even when there is a drastic rise or drop in the markets following an election year, it is often because of it's unrelated to the actual election. So the drastic market drop during the early 2000s after George W. Bush was elected, as an example, was attributable to the tech bubble burst and the September 11th tragedy. The sharp market increases in 2009, and that would be after Barack Obama was elected, and 2020 after Joe Biden was elected, were mainly because of the markets recovering from the global financial crisis and COVID-19. The elections alone would likely have not caused these trends. And that's why we encourage you to, when you are working and updating your planning in your retirement, because as you know, you have to stay flexible, is to making your decisions based on facts and also what kind of portfolio you have, and also speaking with your tax advisor and your financial planner. Schedule the appointment, sit down and talk to them and ask them what are they saying, and maybe you may need to do some adjustments in your balancing your portfolio. There are some tax law changes that are coming up in 2026. There are some things that are expected to happen with the laws that were set in 2017 are going to be expiring on December 31st in 2025. So mainly what's going to happen, as the tax rates are scheduled to go down and the limits for standard deductions are scheduled to go down as well. So it's important to utilize the time between that we have now and 2025 to proactively plan to see how those changes are going to affect you in your situation, right? These are the plans that we can make because these are the things that we can control, and that is the most important focus. So let's analyze your current tax situation and let's talk about how are we going to leverage potential tax advantages before those changes are going to take effect. And that's what tax planning is and strategizing is. So here's your action plan on the things that we can control. Let's jot that down in our journal. First of all, schedule an appointment with your financial planner, with your tax advisor, and talk to them about what you have now. Talked about the anticipating changes, because those are the things that they are experts in, and ask them, what can I do now? What kind of plan can I put in action that is going to help me to take advantage of those changes and making sure that I'm prepared? Focus on major areas. Focus on your rocks, as we call them. Housing, food, healthcare, utilities, insurance. Those are the things that are absolute necessities that we need to live on. And those are the biggest 80% of your budget. Also, don't forget to also add fun and travel and hobbies. As you know, it is a big suggestion of the budgeting that I also recommend, because it's just as important to your overall well-being. And here's my bonus tip. Just remember, there is always going to be something that is stirring up the pot and something that is happening, some changes that are occurring. And you know what? That's just life. As you remember, you have more experience, you've seen it happen. There's always something. So the recommendation is that take a deep breath.
Relax. Take a deep breath.
Sit down, analyze whatever it is that is happening, write it down, and give yourself a break in terms of how you're going to act on this information. Don't react, but think about how it's going to affect you. Think about the things that you can control, so that way you're going to be able to make the best rational decision that is not based on emotion. So what are some of the things that you are worried about this year? Let's discuss them together and come up with a good plan, so that way you can ease your mind and be in control and continue to enjoy your golden years.